Yeah, Myron messed up. He put this on the wrong channel, but that's okay. We'll play it on this channel anyhow. It won't be too triggering for the people on the left. I think they'll be okay with this one. Because this is an issue that both parties struggle with, both parties, I think, care about. And I think, in my opinion, this is the biggest issue, well, one of the bigger issues that will affect my voting. I get to vote for the first time coming up 2024. I'm an immigrant from Canada, if you didn't already know. So this is an issue that's a little bit more dear to my heart than a lot of you flag-waving phony Americans out there who are just born in this country and automatically get the rights and all that good stuff that comes with it. I had to work for mine. That's right. This is Peter Santenello. Santenello. Is that how you say it? Santenello. 2.3 million subscribers. He's doing well for himself. He's living the American dream. He has like a whole bunch of videos on this immigration issue, and I went through like hours and hours of it. I got addicted, and I just want to play my favorite parts of what he had to say. I learned some new things, and so my goal here is maybe if you didn't know some things, you will learn new things.
I would love to go there. And guys,
so I'm going to show about parts of 6-7 different videos of him going on the road and actually with sheriffs and other people seeing immigrants cross, talking to immigrants on the Mexican border.
Is to be as honest and authentic as possible, and sometimes in transparency. Sometimes I don't always get it right. I'm seeking in every one of these videos, I'm seeking truth, and that's a moving target. And so a lot of the people that come into my videos, it's almost like the cast or the actors, right? The actors and actresses that tell the stories. Not always what they say is something I agree with, but I let them speak. And the reason I let them speak and let it be how it is going to be is that's the only way. It's like literature. It's the only way you can get into somebody else's head and see their perspective.
Yeah. This is another big political issue for me. It's not just the immigration issue, but a bigger issue of people disagreeing and still being able to listen to each other, still man each other, understand each other, realize you can see the exact same facts, agree with the facts 100%, and still have different takes on the solutions to the problem, the seriousness of the problem. I really think this is one of the biggest things that society doesn't get, that, oh, if you disagree with me, it's because you don't understand. That's false. You can understand and still disagree.
So that's my mission for all of you, is to get into other people's heads.
What's my half marathon personal record? I like that question, so I'm going to answer it. 1 hour, 28 minutes. And I ran it in Tucson. I think overall it's a little bit of a downhill overall. But I think I also ran a really tougher course in Manitoba, in Winnipeg, and 1:31 or something. So I was pretty good for a Mennonite.
Heads or other people's worlds that you potentially might not get in on your own, and see them through that perspective. I go for that every story. But it gets misrepresented sometimes as people say every one I'm showing is like I'm trying to push an agenda, and it's like, nah. I mean, yeah, some people I really agree with what they say and I connect with them, right? And then that conversation is going to expand and maybe make a really good video. But honesty is number one. So thank you for that. Why do you think there's such polarization in the US now? Okay.
I'm playing this because I think it's a good summary of his intentions, that he's coming from a pure heart. And he's trying to build bridges here.
plugging
And
in.
you guys know me. That's me. I love building bridges.
This is Daryl. He's from Canada. He's been a supporter since day one. That's a whole video series, Daryl. Look, I think people are innately tribal, and there are a lot of forces at play. There's a natural polarization in society, as you can see through politics, but there's also an artificial move right now to polarize America. And so what you see online, this is the crazy thing I'm trying to figure out, and I don't have an exact answer. You see online, everyone's at each other's throat. There are these crazy racial divides. This is what you're seeing online. I get online and I go on the streets. I don't know, I'm talking to everyone. I don't see, like, it's at such a smaller percentage of what is seen online. So there's the real divide, which exists for sure. And then there's this perceived divide that I think is 10xing.
Yeah, everything's amplified online. And it's because you don't have usually face-to-face interaction. And when you do, that's better, but there's still something lost there.
The real divide on the streets. So for example, I'm talking to Democrats and Republicans all day long, and it doesn't matter. Who cares? I talk to Black people, I talk to Asian people, I talk to whomever. It's not an issue at all. It flows pretty well. And these are my experiences. That's all I can speak for. But to finish up on the polarization point, the media, I think the media is the most cancerous force in our society right now. And social media just amplifies all that extremely. So people live in their little information silos. And look, as a creator, that's the business model that works. I want to make a lot of money. I could just go hardcore right on this stuff or hardcore left on this stuff. Just double down, go all in. I will curate an audience that's very loyal to what I'm doing.
He is so right here. If you want to make money on YouTube, don't offend your followers. Don't say anything that might go against your tribe. Just give the tribe what they want to hear. That's a great method of making money on YouTube. And guess what? I'm not too good at it.
Because I will feed them exactly what they want every time. And that's how you really build online. I really think so.
Although he's been successful kind of agreeing and disagreeing with both sides. Like 2.3 million subs is not shabby.
So to sort of cut it in the middle, I would say I used to think I was left. Then I consider my extreme center right now. That's where I'm at. I mean, I like some things from the left, some things from the right.
I like that.
But some issues that's harder for my audience, because sometimes they're going to agree with me, and then sometimes I might take something a different way and they're not going to agree with me. Like I'll be in Saudi Arabia loving it, or Iran loving it and connecting very deeply with the people. But then I'll talk about immigration, and I'll talk about how no, everyone should not be let in. And so.
Okay, he just said, talking about immigration, not everybody should be let in. I'm playing this to show you guys that this guy has traveled the world extensively. He's probably been in 10 times more countries than most of you guys here. So he's traveled the world. He understands different cultures, or has seen different cultures. He seems like a very affable guy that can talk to almost anyone. And he can see the positives and negatives on both sides of the fence. I entitled this live stream "When Empathy Causes Harm." I've said in the past that I lean right, but yet I understand that as a society we need people who think differently. So I think we need people who lean left as well. Empathy is one of those. I think that's one of the things that separates left and right, is the degree of empathy, how much value you place on empathy versus, let's say, things like law and order, justice. Left is more mercy and empathy. And on the immigration issue, it's very clear you need both, right? You need empathy for those who are coming from terrible situations and sincerely want to help them. But then you also need the right perspective, people who lean right, to say, yes, but we need to do this the correct way so we don't end up making mistakes and having unintended consequences. And I'm going to play a lot of video here which will show some of those unintended consequences of having extreme empathy. So let's see here. Let's go to here. I'll link all these later.
And so that's what makes this very complex.
So he's at the US-Mexico border. I'm not sure if this is Texas or Arizona. It's one of those two.
Because yesterday I came across a group that, I don't know, 20 or 30 migrants on the side of the road. You look into their eyes, they're really, tired, stressed, scared. It's a horrific journey that these people go on. And at that very moment, all I thought was, I want these people to succeed in life. I hope the best for them, right? And so if you're putting all your time into helping people here, you can't not be human, and want to help them. But then where is the line? And I've traveled 85 countries, lived abroad in 4, just moved
85.
back last year. And I see the world a different way. The country.
How many countries are there? Is there 208, 206? It shrinks sometimes, right? It goes down and then it goes up. But he's traveled 40% of the countries in the world, 30% at least.
Countries that have an excellent rule of law are successful. The ones that don't aren't.
Is that true? Countries that have pretty stringent rule of law are successful. Those that don't aren't. I think he's right. I think this is what makes United States and other countries like United States great, because we have a great justice system.
And what we're doing is incentivizing people to break the law. Coming over a point of entry like this is illegal. And so what's also messed up about this is once they get in, they're taken care of. They're going to go into shelters. They're going to get transported to different parts of the country. I'm sure all their resources are taken care of in the beginning. But the thing is, they're not legal. And which means I don't believe they're able to work legally, which means how do they support themselves? Which means maybe in 10, 15 years, they're caught and sent home. And I actually heard from a guy that was caught and sent home, lived in the States for 20 years, raised his family here, sent back, made another journey up. Hi guys. Made another journey, came back up. This guy can never be stable in his life. He's not legal in this country because he came in illegally to begin with. So what's that? What's the message we're sending to these people now if they come in illegally and open arms, but then down the road, I guess the only answer or remedy to that would be amnesty, right? And is that the strategy? I have no idea. I have no idea what the strategy is behind this. I just know that this, exactly what's currently going on, is quite unsustainable. We're seeing the biggest influx, I was told, in 20 years, and this last month was the biggest. And
so this video was made 2 years ago, so 2021. So he's talking about 2021 was the biggest influx. And that partly was due to COVID restrictions being stopped. And so Trump really sealed the border because of COVID. And after that, what law was that? Title something, 42 or something? And then a huge backlog of people just wanted into the country. But he's making a great point here that, number one, if you don't cross at a port of entry, you are doing something illegal. And then if you get into the country and you either have to get help from other people to eat, sleep, have shelter, clothing, or you have to get a job. If you get a job and you've come in illegally, you're working illegally. And you can work for a decade and then finally get caught and then you're gone. That's not fair to them because now they've set up a whole life in the United States. But because they started that life illegally, it can ruin their whole life.
And there is a situation down there for many people that is not getting better anytime soon. immigration, 100% believe in it. This is not an anti-immigration video. This is we have a crisis. What's the solution to this crisis? Okay,
I don't think anybody's against immigration. It's only in a matter of degree. How much immigration? Who are we going to let people in? Who are we going to keep out? Like even the bleeding heart liberals on the left will say, well, yeah, there's some people we shouldn't let in, right?
I'm going to get to that in a second. This country is built by immigrants. We need immigration. I firmly believe that. Maybe you don't, but
like we shouldn't let Putin have a timeshare in Florida, right?
I believe we need immigration in this country. But the difference between, like what I was saying, is countries that are successful and ones that aren't, is the rule of law. And not only are we're breaking that principle, we're incentivizing illegal behavior and disincentivizing legal behavior. You know, there are many people trying to get into this country legally, and it's not easy. I've been to many countries from around the world where people are always asking me, hey, can you get me into the States? Hey, I've been trying this and that for years. And
yeah, it took me and my wife about 10 years and at least $10,000 if you count all the visas on the way to green card to citizenship. 10 years, at least $10,000. And some people can go across the border, actually just walk across the border, apply for amnesty, then be released into society and never be heard from again within the United States. Now, people on the left really care about fairness. Is that fair? Is it?
They're trying everything, and these are people trying to do it the right way and not getting access. But the people that are doing it illegally, and I understand this is where it gets complex, they're coming from horrific situations.
Glenn Royer, I think it's still illegal. You have to cross at a port of entry. So you can have a genuine case and apply for asylum, but you have to do that at a port of entry.
Many of them, but they're getting the access, and the ones that are trying to do it the right way aren't. There's no way to know the numbers exactly of what are the amount of good intentioned people coming in. You know, I've seen a lot of mothers, I've seen a lot of children, I've seen some men, less men than mothers, than women for sure. But now we have a situation where there's so many people coming in, and these guys are so overwhelmed that there's a lot of bad actors coming in. And these are not stupid people running these organizations below the border. They know what's going on. I mean, just going down the river the other day, there are scouts all along this river. Actually, kids get wrapped into it, right? And they're warning the next scout and the next scout, a boat's coming, border patrols over there, whatever. They know what they're doing. They're good at this game. It's nothing new, right? So when border patrol gets bogged down with a group of migrants that are really leaving a difficult situation, their resources have to go there. That's when the traffickers, that's when the cartels know to move the dark stuff. That could be the sex traffickers, that could be the drugs, obviously. It's interesting. I did talk to a trafficker. That was quite surreal. Humans are worth a lot more than drugs right now. So that's, like, the drugs will always come through. There's always that demand here in the United States, obviously, and the world. But humans are getting more money. So there's a big focus on humans right now. Another sickening part of the story is...
Sorry, I was muted. I was just saying this is the Trump wall.
Because if you have a child, you know, children are being rented. Again, is this 5% of the stories, or 40%, or 3%? I don't know. I can't say, and I'm not going to act like I do know. To understand the situation fully, we're talking years down here. I think you'd have to work from different angles to really understand what's going on. So again, keep that in mind, guys. I have no authority here, and I'm not acting to be like one. But the fact that we have very little investigative journalism, let's say, going into the current crisis, that's saddening. That's saddening, and it's also saddening that we have a government that's not promoting or not incentivizing our free press to go in to really, in my opinion, the biggest issue this country is facing right now. Taxpayers are paying a lot of money for this.
Well, see, now this was made in 2021. Now in 2023, I think things are a little bit different now. The realization is there. And I think part of that is because of mostly Republican governors in southern border states shipping, oh, I shouldn't use that word, right? Because it makes humans like cattle, transporting in air-conditioned buses and planes to blue states, sanctuary cities. And the leaders there, the leadership there is starting to see firsthand how much work, how much resources it takes to take care of immigrants. Like, a lot of people on the left say that all Republicans care about is money, 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 money. So let's grant that, and then ask yourself this question. If immigrants were net positive for the economy and would bring businesses more money through cheap labor or whatever, don't you think they would want to keep them? If it's all about money, money, money? So even if you're leaning left, you have to realize that these money-hungry Republicans realize that the immigrants are more of a money burden than a money blessing. And so they're saying, go over there. Here's from the BBC. We have no more room, New York City Mayor Eric Adams warns migrants. This is written July 20th of this year, I believe. So just a couple weeks ago, where I think pamphlets are now being distributed at the Mexican border, warning migrants, if you're planning to come to New York, don't come. We are full. And I think they're spending billions of dollars per year in just New York alone.
So everyone that comes over, you know, they're getting plane tickets, they're getting housed, they're getting fed, and I don't know how long that lasts for. I don't know what healthcare is provided exactly, or where they go, or what, you know, rent is provided for. How you doing? Thank you. How do you tell the American person that's very poor and down on their luck, especially after this year of COVID, hey, you know, we're not going to help you, but we're going to help someone despite their circumstances? I understand very bad circumstances for many of these people, but we're going to help them over you. What message does that send? This currently is unsustainable. These guys are getting overloaded, and they're not meant to be taking care of kids. Their jobs are to protect our border. That's what they're hired for. Now, they can't talk right now, but they're very happy that someone is covering their story because they feel like their voices are shadowed to some degree. All right, let's add some more complexity. Most of these people working for the US government, good people with good intentions, there's gonna be a small percentage, again, I can't give you a number, that are in with the other side, that are making some big money off of this. And again, very, very small percentage from what I've heard. The vast majority are doing their jobs properly. But that also exists, if you can believe that. If it doesn't get complex enough, there we go. Then when we get to the US side, all sorts of trafficking and trafficking networks that are currently running illegally on the US side. It's not just a on the border problem. I want to make that point because this problem is going everywhere.
Yeah, this is a huge point that I kind of knew, but really didn't sink in, of how much cartel activity there is just on the northern part of the Mexican border. That the trafficking is happening within the United States, not just people from Mexico bringing people in from all over the world. But there's organized crime within the United States for trafficking for immigrants. And he talks about this later and shows some examples.
Everywhere in the country, and you might not see it where you live, and I'm not trying to scare you. This isn't scare clickbait. But what I'm saying is, you know, a homeowner told me yesterday, he made a good point. He's like, well, if someone I told him I was born in Vermont. He's like, well, what if someone in Vermont, all of a sudden they're living in a peaceful place, and you know, they have migrants coming over their land at night, and on the other side of the street is a trafficker sitting waiting in a car, and there's all this illegal business going on, and they don't feel safe with their kids out at night walking around the neighborhood, which they once did. Okay?
Yeah, this is how you appeal to people on the left. Imagine you're in your little suburb. Your daughter wants to take the German Shepherd out for a walk at night, 8 o'clock at night, just getting dark. And then you see a car with strange people, 4 or 5 people, don't recognize them. Now, if you live in the southern border and you're in a town like McAllen, Texas, or El Paso, or Nogales, Arizona, these are real issues. It's like, no, don't go out at night. Actually, it's happening during the day now too.
So put everything aside. Imagine that your life changes because of policies. Of course they're going to think a certain way. Everyone wants to live in safety and security. Yeah, and I also want to mention a sad part about the somewhat secrecy of this whole thing down here is, for example, I wanted to go into the McAllen bus station the other night. And there's a guard out front, and he's saying, I cannot enter the city bus station. I said, why? He's like, he said it's private, which is false. There are Greyhound buses going out of there. But I had to work to get, who knows, maybe I wanted a bus ticket. I had to work, and I acted like I did, but I, as a citizen, had to convince someone that I could go into the bus station. And it was because it was full with migrants. So the migrants are going off, and that's another topic. Okay, COVID. We have COVID. Now
yeah, COVID doesn't really apply now. There was another clip on this video I wanted to play.
Screwed in the process. So we need to get our house in order first in America. It's like if you're gonna invite some guests over for dinner, make sure your kitchen's clean and things are set up and you got food ready, and it's a nice environment. And look, we have so many problems in this country alone right now, and if we're gonna allow an unlimited number of guests, say, and our house isn't in order, we're not gonna create a better situation in the country down the road if we keep on this strategy. This is an
B. Guzman asks, PineCreek, remove every illegal alien from the U.S. What would happen to the U.S. economy? You can look at it 2 ways. If you're looking at net, I think it would help the U.S. economy. Now you said a legal alien, not legal, right? I think if you were to remove, if I was Thanos and I could just, deport every illegal alien in the United States right now, sure, there's some very productive illegal aliens, but there's a lot of very financially burdensome illegal aliens. So net, my guess would be it'd be better for the economy. Now, legal aliens, my answer would be completely different. I would say it would be worse for the U.S. economy.
Concrete wall, razor wire. And I know this is a big divisive issue, the wall. Okay, so what I've been told, the wall's not going to stop anyone from coming in. That's ridiculous. But what it does do is create an infrastructure. So see this infrastructure? You have a road here, you have a road here. These guys can go back and forth on the road easier. They can apprehend migrants easier. And it's not like you can just get up this easily. Sometimes there's ladders, other times ropes. Not every migrant's going to have a ladder or the right way to get over the wall, so they congregate. It basically makes border patrols.
I've worked with some pretty big farmers in Arizona, and the vast majority of the workers in these huge farms, like Yuma, Arizona, for example, produces a huge percentage of leafy greens here in the United States. And the vast majority, in fact, I think all of their workers are legal immigrants, not illegal immigrants. They're legal. So if the question is, what would happen if we got rid of the illegal immigrants? I think net overall would be better for the economy in the United States. Going to go to the next video. What's wrong with open borders? Some people think that in the United States, borders should be completely open. There was a few stamps here that I found interesting.
On their way that way, but yet she never spoke to their family at all. So who knows where she's actually going?
I used to actually stay here at the Catholic Charities, and one day when it was really fucking cold out, they decided to say fuck y'all, because y'all like to smoke and y'all like to drink, and we don't like that. But yet they have an employee that's sitting there bitching that we need to make America Mexican again, and he's sitting there smoking pot.
All right. So you were staying in this charity, and they said you had to leave.
Yep.
But like, you were smoking and doing shit, right?
Yeah, but I wasn't smoking in there.
Okay.
I was following all their rules. They told me if I come in and I look high, I can't stay.
About how many people did they kick out besides you?
In total, I'd say they kicked out roughly 60 to 70 homeless people.
And they're all American citizens, as far as you know.
As far as I know, they're all American citizens.
Yeah, this is an appeal to emotion, but it works. If you had a choice of kicking 50, 60 people out of the country who are illegal immigrants, or 50, 60 U.S. citizens out of a homeless shelter, which would you choose? See, these are real moral dilemmas that the United States is going through right now, because there's not unlimited resources. There's not unlimited bed space. And so these are real issues in southern border towns where you have a choice to make. Do you cater to the U.S. citizens or do you cater to the illegal immigrants? You can't have both. I guess you could have some illegals, some U.S. citizens. But some U.S. citizens, like this guy here, who's, I think he admits he's a druggie, right?
There's even an older gentleman who's missing a leg, who's in a wheelchair, and they kicked him out to the streets.
And did they give you a reason why they kicked you all out?
They said it was because of our drug habits. I'm like, so what? We have drug habits. You don't know what's going on in our lives that makes us choose drugs. Just let it stay here.
Do you want to get off drugs?
Yeah.
You do. If someone came through and was like, we're gonna help you get off drugs, would you be down, or you'd be like, screw that? Really?
I'd be down.
What are you on? What's
right
your
now,
go-to?
I'm stuck on spice.
What's that? I don't even know what that is.
Fake marijuana.
Ah.
Never heard of it. Fake marijuana.
The migrants that come over that spend all the money to the cartels and the coyotes and the smugglers and all that to get over, they expended all their money, and then there's no guarantee once they sort of have a little window getting into the U.S. where they're like, oh.
Okay, there's going to be a statistic coming up soon, and the question is, what percentage of asylum seekers are denied? I want you to put your guess in the live stream chat. Please don't Google it. Just use your intuitions. What percentage of those seeking asylum in the United States are denied? Put your answer in the live stream now.
Okay, we can breathe and relax now. We're legal here. Legal until the court hearing.
Protected, yes.
But then by going to the hearing, the probability that you're going to get sent back home is high.
Super high. Super high.
All right. So how long, and this is a really difficult part about this. I want to explain to the audience here, guys, you know, the more I research in this is rabbit hole after rabbit hole. There's one website, everything is politicized with this topic.
Correct.
There's no way around that, except this one site I found, Track Immigration. Who knows? But from what I saw, they say they're independent and nonpartisan, but that's the website I also want to aim people towards. Like, we're touching the basics here and we have to keep it short for a YouTube video, but it's, if you really want to get in, I find like the metrics really break down. So the people that say 99% of migrants go back to their court hearing, well, when you start breaking apart those numbers, you realize, well, these are case studies, specific areas. We're not talking as like a national whole. And then, and then the people that say 99% avoid their asylum hearings, I don't think those are correct numbers either. So it's really hard in itself just to get the right numbers, because the immigration court records are secret also. This is what I read. So the government statistics are difficult to verify in this. But just from a common sense level, I would think, all right, I made all that effort, I spent all that money, and if I go to court and the probabilities I'm going to get sent home, probably wouldn't want to go. but I don't want to aim that argument. What do you think on that? Like,
So,
from your
so,
experience,
so,
what you've seen.
so for my look, I saw a lot of people who are seeking asylums, right? And that's the difference, right? The immigrants that are really here as a refugees, they will attend the court because they have a valid case, and they fear if they're gonna go back to their country, they're gonna get killed or sent to jail forever, right? Or will disappear. So I do not know the numbers. Like you said, it's very hard to find the real statistic. How many of those people that enter here then attend their hearing? I don't know. What I know is the law is clear. If you are here as a refugee seeking asylum for a year or more, you can never again go to the court and make sure you have the asylum status. That's it. You have 1 year inside of the US to fix your situation.
What if the courts are backed up like now? Because I read there are 400 asylum judges, and they're just backed up, and especially with this recent surge, like the processing is probably falling behind, I can imagine.
Well, but that's not their.
I might have my timestamps mixed up, or maybe it's coming up very soon, but I know some of you are guessed. About 70% is the closest estimate, at least according to these guys, in some bipartisan or independent research company. 70% of asylum seekers are denied. Now think about the implications about that. Here are people who are thinking in their heads, I have a good case. I am persecuted in my country. I have a good case to get asylum in the United States. And yet the United States standards are pretty high. 70% of them, 7 out of 10, are denied. Now, if people know this, if there's chit chat on the streets, hey, did you get in from asylum? No, I didn't. Right there, you now have an incentive to come and claim asylum and not go to your court hearing. You have incentive not to, unless it's very clear. I mean, you're like so convinced, there's no way they're going to deny me because the country I'm coming from is just like a train wreck. And I got scars to prove it. And you see they lopped off my arm. And like, it's almost to that degree of confidence you need to go to your court and get the asylum done. So if it's 70% are denied, the incentive is there to come in the country, and you're allowed to stay in the country as you wait for your court date. There's incentive just to go into society and vanish.
Right? That's
okay.
They will start that process, right, within the year. It's just that the court date may not be within a year, or sometimes is within a year, but that is continued because of that. But that is not their fault, right?
Right.
What's going on is if you enter and then you wait, maybe you miss your court, or maybe you don't do anything for a year, and then you say, hey, I'm gonna do my process, make sure I am a refugee legally. If you pass that year, that's it. You will be deported.
And I just really want to make clear to you guys, you know, getting into this whole border situation, I'm almost embarrassed as an American. Didn't know really anything about it until recently. Didn't start putting any attention towards it until I went there. And what you realize is, or what I thought was, what I was told too a few times was, if someone got in seeking asylum, like they're legal to be in the US, but no, you're telling us, no, it's just a window of time. And then they can either take a decision to go to that court hearing or disappear into society.
Yeah.
And be illegal.
Correct. And that's the thing. If you miss your court hearing, from the bench, the judge will issue a deportation order for you. And then if you get caught, if they find you, that's it. You'll be deported. And then, as I explained before, when you're deported, you're not going to be able to come back here, even if you have a visa. There is something that I'm going to say, because a lot of people don't know that. If you enter here illegally without inspection, and then, and then you live your life, you work, you met a American citizen, and you get married, and you think, wow, now I will be able to legalize my status, right? And be able to become a resident and then a citizen.
Because if you're married to an American, you're in, or you should be, right?
Yeah, yes, but a lot of people think that that's the goal. They're gonna find American citizen, marry, and everything's good, and that's not true. If you enter illegally, without inspection, without a visa, even if you marry an American citizen, as soon as you start your process, right, your immigration process, when your petition is approved, you will be deported back to your country. And you will have, if you're in the country for over 180 days illegally, you will be sent back to your country with a mandatory ban to enter again for 10 or 20 years.
That's if you
okay?
if you married the American.
Even if you marry American.
I wonder how many illegal immigrants realize this.
You're gonna be in your back. You're gonna have to do a consular process in your own country, but as a punishment because you committed a crime, right? You're gonna be there for 10, 20 years until, and then your petition may be approved. But look, more likely than not, you're done. Once you're out, they're not gonna be, they're not gonna be allow you back. And do you think your marriage will survive 10, 20 years? Your wife live in the US and you're living outside of the country?
Right.
All right. I mean, that's a reality that nobody really knows.
Yeah. See, so, okay, as you can see, guys, it's the deeper you go in, and Rafa told me, like, what do you want, like a week to talk about this, to get to understand it? And I said, no, just a short synopsis. So that's
it's going to be legit. They're going to be able to prove
here's the step.
And because they're going to have to go through the process.
By the way, this guy's immigration lawyer. So
if they show up in court and they cannot prove their case as a refugee, they're going to be deported, and that's it. And per the statistics, only 3 out of 10 is going to be legit. They're going to be able to prove their case.
Right.
And all the rest is going to be deported, and they're screwed. Then they're never going to be
unless there's a change in the law, like amnesties granted.
Yeah, unless that's the plan, that they are saying, look, we're gonna let whatever is the number, 1 million people get in.
Yes, Nathan. Part of the reason why I'm playing this is because of you. Although you sent me a link about something else, prostitution in Vegas, I think.
And then as soon as we reach that number, I'm gonna assign the asylum regarding everybody that is here, as long as you don't write, because asylum amnesty just work if you never committed a crime. Also, you have that.
There are a lot of government resources, federal resources, and I think state resources probably going towards these people that might get sent back, most likely will if they go to court.
Yeah.
I was told food stamps, but I think that's a federal thing. I think you have to be a U.S. citizen for food stamps. But how much do you think is being spent? And you don't have to have a number, but as far as what you saw with the people your clients you were representing, how much was the system paying for their lives here in the U.S.?
So that's
by the way, I think this is a great argument to say to people on the left, because of their compassion and sense of fairness that they value. Listen closely. I think this resonates with people on the left.
That's the thing. I'm not really sure what's happening right now inside of the system, right? When I was representing immigration clients, right, they were receiving zero assistance from the U.S. government. There was no assistance. The thing was no plane tickets or bus tickets. You are processed and you are let go. And then you just have to attend your court hearing. But at that time, they were not controlling where you go. They don't give you, because if you're not a U.S. Citizen, you don't really qualify for any government assistance. Like I am an immigrant. I was never an illegal immigrant, but I am a U.S. citizen now. But when I was only a U.S. resident, what that means is when you have a green card, I would never qualify for any government assistance. I was paying taxes, but I will not qualify for Social Security.
See, that's the argument you can give a person on the left. That doesn't sound fair, right? You're not eligible for any government assistance officially, but yet you're still paying taxes if you're working. or you're buying stuff. That's not fair. So this is a good argument to tell someone who leans left, this is why it should be done legally, because then when they pay their taxes, they get some return on those taxes in government assistance and benefits. But right now, if you're illegal, you can't get that. So it's I think a fairness issue that will resonate with them. Let's see. I'll save that one for last.
Drugs or people? What's his job?
Let's see. 6:02 is the timestamp I want.
What's his job exactly? Does he drive? He picks up people in one location, drives them himself?
Okay, so this is an actual, what do we call it? Human smuggler who lives on the U.S. side.
Endpoint?
Okay, basically what he's saying is his job is to transport people. Once they get off the river, whoever's holding them off the river, and there's no more Border Patrol or anybody else around, he'll pick them up. He'll bring them back to whatever location. Once he brings them to the location, he'll feed them, give them clothing, whatever they need. Meanwhile, he's waiting for the other transportation to pick up these people, whether it's to take them to Laredo. From Laredo, they go up north, or if it's to take them here in the valley, whether it's just take them up north directly from whatever location they're at.
And that's it.
Basically, he's the middleman between the valley and the rest of the United States.
What ages of people? All ages, or?
Como la gente que tienes, más o menos, ¿qué edad tiene?
La gente puede llegar de...
His basically the age they deal with is from 16 to maybe about 60, 70 years old. He has gotten old people before. He has gotten sick people before, and they have gotten to their destination. But his thing is not back to the flux that's happening right now with the unaccompanied minors and stuff. Because as we've discussed, those roam freely after they get to Border Patrol.
Yeah.
So these are the other people that don't want to get caught.
Yeah, because they're Mexicans.
Yes.
Right now there's a policy other than Mexicans can be let into asylum.
Right now there's a 100-day policy set by Biden when he took over, saying for our first 100 days is no deportation for other than Mexicans, OTMs, for other than Mexicans. So like I said.
So if you're from any country other than Mexico, you can come in, apply for asylum, and guaranteed no deportation for 100 days. But if you are Mexican, you can be deported within those 100 days.
His job is to get those Mexicans that want to come in.
So this policy is good for his business right now.
In a way, yes, but like he said, it creates the tension where you have more people, more equipment, more everything that hinders him from doing his job.
Gotcha. So why does he do it?
¿Por qué le haces?
Yo, necesidad de trabajo, necesidad y llevando mucha gente.
He says that he does it for the necessity. It's a job to him.
Because there's a huge influx the last few months. What does he think about that?
Como
What's going on
ha
at the
venido
border?
tanto gente en estos meses.
Tanto para el gobierno de Estados Unidos.
What he's saying is that, you know what, he's no one to judge. That, like he said, people can come to the United States, but at the end of the day, they're saying they're fleeing their country because of violence and all this stuff. Well, if they're fleeing their country due to violence, he's asking, well, how can a parent give up their child just to anybody and let their child go alone, make their journey from South America to the United States? He's saying you're taking the risk of something happening to your child, whether they're being kidnapped, raped, or something happening to them, drowning in the river or something, because you don't know. So how can people in my country, or I'm doing this for this reason?
So does Tony have any kids?
¿Tienes niños?
Cinco.
He has 5 kids.
Okay. And what does he think about the border and customs protection right now?
¿Qué piensa de migración y...?
La gente que vengan ahí, ellos están haciendo buen trabajo en plan y no vengan haciendo destrozos.
Okay. What he's saying, you know what? That he praises Border Patrol and everybody for doing their job. They're doing an excellent job. That's coming from him.
He likes them.
Yes, he has nothing against them. You know, they're doing their job.
They're not his enemy in any way?
They're not his enemies.
Huh.
So he's saying they're doing a great job and everything, but at the end of the day, it's not only Border Patrol's problem. These people that are coming to the United States, OTMs, other than Mexican, they're causing problems all throughout their country while traveling this way, causing problems all through Mexico, And he's glad that the United States had stopped those people from coming this way, which is back with the prior administration.
Even though his business model is taking migrants and moving them into the States.
The answer to that is yes, and the reason why it's yes to that is because, like he said, his main thing is to bring Mexicans into the United States, or Mexican people.
Yeah, the smuggler rather bring in his own kind, Mexicans, than people from other nations.
Okay.
Into the United States.
Okay, gotcha. We can turn around, guys. We'll just go back. All right, take two. I'll just be over here.
¿Cuánto cobra?
Es que hay diferentes precios. Hay unos que te cobran llegando y te piden $1,200.
Okay, right now what they're charging is probably half of what everybody else is charging. Normally they charge around.
Oh, I was just going to say if you guys could guess what they charge, but too late already.
3,000 to cross just the river itself. They're charging about 1,500. They're charging half the price of what everybody else is charging.
Why?
¿Por qué están cobrando tan barato?
Nosotros tenemos, ya llegas a Houston, se te va a cobrar $5,000.
Okay, it's because they're charging by, like I said, so much to cross the river, so much to they're charging so much to go from here to Laredo, so much from Laredo to Houston, for example.
Mm-hmm.
They charge it in pieces. That's the reason why just 1,500 is just across the river.
How does a Mexican family that doesn't have much money afford all of this? Their family in the States sending, or
¿Cómo
they
la
know
gente
people?
puede pagar esto si según?
Yeah, and this is 2 years ago. I think it's because of inflation. It's gone up. There's some other videos that this guy's made that it's closer to $5,000 minimum to transport people across the U.S. border or get them further away from the Mexican border. But there's something very interesting about the cartels.
Insurance policy saying, hey, you got another free shot. If you get caught, you got another free shot. Now, the way he thinks it is that you don't. Okay, basically what this says is that you've already reported to somebody in Mexico saying, you know what, I'm here and I'm trying to get to the United States. So once they put this on you, that means like you're already in the logbooks, basically showing that you've already reported to somebody. If you are from somewhere else and you're here in Reynosa, for example, and you don't have this bracelet, there could be different options that might happen to you. They could kill you, they could beat you, they could charge you a fine.
Who's gonna kill and beat?
The cartel.
What? Just how many cartels are there?
Well, there's different ones, but it depends who catches you.
Okay.
Say like, for example, I'm from Jalisco, Mexico, for example. I come to Reynosa. I'm in Reynosa, and I'm trying to get to the United States.
Yeah.
I'm trying to do it on my own.
Yeah.
I guess that's why no one does it on their own. The proper way, they're supposed to report to somebody, whichever cartel or whoever. They report to somebody. Like I said, they're logged in. All their information is put in. So
You guys understand what's going on here? So the cartels somewhere in Mexico put these little bracelets on people who have paid their money, and then they start the process of getting them across the border. And if near the border, if they on the Mexican side, if they see someone without a bracelet, they can hold them for ransom, fine them, beat them, or kill them. So because of the incentives of coming to the United States, it's causing people great harm in Mexico because of the cartel activity, because it's so lucrative to traffic humans. How do you fix that problem? I have no idea. Because even if your goal is to do it legally through amnesty, go through a port of entry, if you're not if not having those bracelets and then you happen to bump into a cartel member, you might be in big trouble.
So they're able to know what's what. In this case, like I said, if I say like I'm from Jalisco and I'm in Reynosa, I don't have this bracelet on.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, "Who are you? Why are you here?" They're gonna question you and stuff. And like I said, from there they could fine you for, you know what, we're gonna fine you. So they might pick you up and hold you hostage until that fine is paid. Or they might beat you or something. Or like you said, worst case scenario, they might kill you. Because at the end of the day, what they're trying to tell these people, you're not gonna do anything without my permission.
Yeah. It's a sad situation. Okay, here's a U.S. resident, a citizen living in a border town. I think this is Texas? Yeah, McAllen, Texas. My cousin actually taught high school chemistry there for a while.
Cars parking over here, they run to the cars at night at 8 o'clock at night, at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So.
Can you show us? Is that all right? Yeah. What's your name?
Randy.
Randy, Peter. Okay, so Randy, what's the story?
The border is a mile and a half this way.
Okay.
In fact, you can, if you look real close, you can see where
Right through the trees.
Trump's wall has just stopped. But my understanding is they're going to try and start that back up again and build it again.
They are.
Start that back up. That's my understanding.
So what's been going on here?
Well, you'll see them come, and they'll just come running across this field.
Okay.
And they come up to this barbed wire fence right there.
Okay, right on the other side of the trees here.
And
okay.
they try to get your attention. And for whatever reason, I don't know why, but I had a couple of them a few nights ago trying to get my attention, and they're speaking Spanish, and I don't speak Spanish. So, you know, I sit and enjoy the evening at night because it's real quiet out here and nice, and they're running up and down here.
Running up right down here?
Right through this thoroughfare right here all the time.
So how do you feel as someone that lives here? What's your feeling or take on this?
I mean, I am thrilled that the Border Patrol is out there and they're doing their job, and they're trying to take care of this problem. It's just a tragedy. It's so sad that, you know, our country is going through this right now, and that we're allowing this, you know, to happen.
Right.
And it's such a humanitarian crisis that our government just is not recognizing. People that don't live here don't understand. They just don't understand.
What do you think they don't get?
I don't think they understand. It's not so much it's the fact that these people are I mean, they're looking, some of them are coming here looking for a better life.
Yeah.
But what makes people here, and this is a retirement community, 55 and older, and people are genuinely concerned about their safety. And so, you know, we've got the Border Patrol and the police on speed dial, and they're genuinely concerned about, you know, their welfare and their safety, property values. My understanding is that, you know, the cartel owns, you know, property and homes on this side of the border.
So you've seen last few months, because the policy changes.
Here in in a certain place in Tucson, where I used to have a home, I had a cartel neighbor. I don't think the neighbor was trafficking humans, it was trafficking drugs. I think I've told this story before, but I was given the number of the U.S. Marshals because of my neighbor, because he was on the top 10 most wanted list. To this day, I think I didn't witness a murder, but heard one coming from my neighbor's house. Seen a car back up to the front door, trunk opening. I mean, backed up right to the front door, so you couldn't see. That was interesting. I had a lot of people steal things out of my carport, but when my cartel neighbor moved in, all theft stopped. I remember that for a couple of years. Not a rake missing, not a ladder gone. Before that, I would lose rakes and ladders, and people would take stuff. Yeah.
There's a big inflow. I mean,
so maybe in that maybe he lives in a really safe neighborhood because the cartels live there.
You can see by the numbers. Obviously,
Oh, yeah.
It's very obvious.
Oh yeah, it's when you see them, they'll walk through there, and it's mostly at night.
Yeah.
And they'll just be wandering down the street.
Down the street here.
Yeah.
And so say traffickers on the other side with cars parked, waiting to take them away?
Yeah, and you mentioned that. What another big concern they have is that a lot of these people understand this layout, and to where if they can get across that fence there and get over into this community, especially at night.
Can we walk over there?
Sure.
Is that all right?
Yeah, especially at night.
Right.
Then they've got, they'll have whoever's picking them up, the cartel or whoever, they'll drive out here, and they'll come out and jump in the car and drive off.
Right.
Yeah. So
It's a tough situation, huh?
yeah, it is really tough. And I mean, my heart just breaks for these people and the children that are still in that detention center down in Donna, Texas.
Right.
It's just so tragic.
Yeah.
Tragic. What we're doing to these, you know.
It's messy. The longer I'm here, the more difficult and confusing it gets, to be honest.
Yeah.
Okay, here's another clip of a Texas rancher talking about some of the issues he's dealing with.
Walk over the dirt.
Oye, ¿cuántos pagan los carteles por pasar un hombre? $9,000. ¿Ah? $9,000. $9,000
To do what?
to get across with the cartel.
So this is
Per
1 year
person.
ago.
Just over the
Just-
Rio Grande.
Just to get across. Tú no le pagas los carteles, no pasa. Yeah, if you don't pay the cartel, you're not getting across. And that's
So
that's,
9
that's
grand.
not
Does he know that numbers for? I've heard all different numbers.
No, ha subido. Van para arriba y para arriba.
that's it. It just keeps going up.
9 grand. So how do people get the money?
Empeñan casas, venden casas. Hay familias de este lado que los vaquean, que los ayudan.
They sell their house.
Sell their house. They give up houses, cars, whatever.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Whatever they have
and
to
then
give up.
the people that they have on this side send them money.
Hugo has his green card, right?
Does he?
Sí, yo tengo residencia.
So how did he feel about doing it that way versus, like, I bet he feels more secure being here with his green card versus.
No te pueden agarrar 3 veces borracho, o sea, que hayas tomado, o que una felonía, o sea, que hayas matado a alguien, sabes bien que vas para.
He feels comfortable and not a threat, you know, of being deported. Just, you know, they have to follow certain rules. You can't,
Yeah.
you know, you can't
Get drunk.
get in trouble with the law, go get drunk.
Yeah, now that I don't have a green card anymore, I'm a U.S. citizen. Now I can get in trouble with the law and not fear.
I heard that.
Whatever
Borracho
stuff.
in un bar.
Sí. Borracho.
No. Mis respetos para eso.
Look at all those tracks right there. I mean, since the inaugural, it's all been fresh tracks. Inauguration.
Is there less fear, do you think? Because they know there might not be consequences? Or?
There is no consequence. I mean, yeah, what are they going to do? Ship them back? That's why Ronnie and I mean, the sheriff's department, you know, we file charges for trespassing. I mean, you start the record on them, and then they have a record. But I mean, they have just flooded the system.
So if a guy gets caught here, what happens?
If a guy gets caught on me, we file trespassing charges. If they catch him right there on the highway, Border Patrol gets him, they just give him a ride home and
A ride home.
a ride back to Mexico.
You were asking if they're doing it with less fear, and I mean, it's obvious they're almost boastful about it, you know, like they're freaking being rude about it, just right in front of our faces.
So these guys, they're interested in this story because they're doing it the right way. And how does it make them feel?
These guys, they're such good people, they still feel bad for the guys that are walking and everything, but I mean, there's got to be a sense of, you know, why is it so easy for them when I had to go through all these steps, you know?
Yeah, that's exactly how I feel.
They were just saying on the way over here how if you see people walking in the pasture, it's more than likely Guatemalans or someone else, because the Mexicans are hiding. They're not trying to be seen.
It's gonna rain, but I took the backpack. These guys, they're just coming through here. They don't want to get caught here. They want to get the hell out of here.
Okay, as a rancher, is it a challenge for you? Is this an added challenge, or you just really don't even notice it? Not a real big deal?
Well, no, you notice it. I mean, they leave gates open. They'll tap into a water line. Once they tap into that, you'll lose 20, 30,000 gallons of storage. Ryan Walsh south of here, I mean, hell, they break into his house all the time. I mean, that guy, he's a comical son of a gun. But I mean, hell, he's caught them in his bed, you know, just catching it.
Can you imagine that, coming home, catching a stranger in your bed, taking a nap?
Not with his wife, I hope.
No, not with his wife, but I mean,
Okay.
just taking a nap. Can you imagine the same deal going on up north? If Nancy Pelosi found somebody sleeping in her bed, oh my God. They're probably more inundated with illegals than we are down here. These people are smart. They go and they're living in downtown Dallas, they're in New York, to where they all blend in and nobody's gonna do shit about it. What's really changed about this part of the country is so now with the policies, they can go to Del Rio, they can go to Acuna, and they can seek asylum and then get across. So the people that are coming through here are the tatted up gangbangers or the guys that don't want to get caught that already have a record.
So you're getting all types, you know, you're getting mothers and children, you're getting people with honest asylum cases, you're getting people just wanting a better life, and then you're getting the fentanyl, you know, sex trafficking people, all of it.
Yeah.
So everything.
Yeah, I mean, you can look in the Alpine Avalanche, the blotter, what the Brewster County Sheriff's has caught in the last week, and I mean, it's all human trafficking and drugs. I mean, the people seeking asylum, I don't think they come through here. I mean, hell, it's easier to get a ride to Del Rio or to Juarez, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So how does it make the locals feel, this whole, when you see that in the paper?
I hate to say it, but I mean, I think everybody's just got so damn numb to it because it happens so often. I got no problem with him if he's busting his ass. But you know what? If he's got the intention to come in here knowing that I'm fixing to pay for all his shit, no, that's not it. And these guys, I mean, man, they did it by the book. They contribute to society. They work their asses off.
We so need workers in this country.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Job openings everywhere.
Yeah, I'm telling you what.
Every city I go to.
White people are the laziest. I'm telling you.
What color are you?
I'm white as they come. I mean, my last name's Charles.
You're an exception, or
my
you're pretty
last name
lazy?
is Charlesworth. I'm a straight running honky. I mean, I'm that far from being a Mennonite. I mean,
when I first heard this, I almost spit my drink out. I'm this close to being a Mennonite. I go, what?
White boy.
So white people are as lazy as...
I'm telling you, white people are lazy.
What happened?
What do you mean, what happened? Well, for one, they quit whipping their ass in school. They started free lunch programs, so they don't have to work anymore. We are training these white people to just wait for the government to feed them. I mean, when I was going to school, you had a lunch. You could take a sack lunch, or they gave you lunch. Now, I mean, hell, they'll feed you breakfast, they'll feed you lunch. In the summertime, you're not even supposed to be at school. Our society is so dependent on government, and that's how they want us.
But you're not lazy.
No, I mean, look at that. I mean, look at that. You don't get lazy by having that kind of tan. Look at your hands.
I truly believe that. I agree that what he's saying here. But one of the solutions to a lot of the problems, I think, in society, especially with teenagers, make them come to a ranch like this for, 6 months. If you got any type of mental illness, come to a ranch like this for 6 months. Feed the animals. They'll make you feel better. Get your hands really all crusty and work hard. So you're so tired. You don't have time to be depressed and anxious. The only thing you're worried about is making it through the day with your job and getting food at the end of the day and then hitting that bed. It's a great feeling, actually.
Peter.
I'm Leslie.
Nice to meet you. I have one question.
Okay.
The poodle was Brent's decision or yours?
Mine.
How's it been for you, the situation? You've noticed a big difference, or?
Yes. Well, yes. They've come up to the house now, and then I've seen some in the pasture, which I never have seen in 20 years. Anytime you're a girl by yourself and there's strange men around, it makes you feel a little strange. Yes.
Right.
So there's 4 of them right there. The trailer's parked right there. That's 4 Guatemalans.
So what happened there? They came up to here and they
came up to here and they wanted help. They wanted me to give them a ride to Houston, which I was like, okay, Houston? I'm like, no, I can't go to Houston.
Let me ask you this. With the media, you can see the border situation on Fox, but it's more like the fireworks. They're sitting in a helicopter like... All right, guys, very interesting story, and one, unfortunately, that doesn't get shown so much, and there's no simple solution. but the status quo seems very hard for the people
Yeah, I
living in
think it's
this
Texas.
part of the country. My oversimplified solution from what I've seen and what I understand to this very complex problem is we need more H-2A visas to allow people to come here to work legally and be able to go back to Mexico and then come back. More of an easy pathway to become citizens if people have proved themselves, they've added to society, and much less of this just leave it open and deal with people dying in the desert and cartels making a fortune and illegals that are here 3-4 years in America, get a speeding ticket, get deported. It just seems unsustainable and pretty much unfair to everyone. That's a wrap. We're on adventure.
Yeah, there's so many great parts, but I'll leave it there. So solutions, he gave some solutions here. Make it easier to get these work visas, and I agree with that. Make it easier, the whole asylum process, I agree with that. But I think you gotta close the borders. I mean the areas between the port of entries. You have to make it basically so next to impossible to enter the United States other than a legalized port. And then I would also say that while your asylum process is going through the system, you cannot stay in the country. You either have to go back to your country or wait in Mexico or wherever until you get, then come re-enter when your court date is. So how do you seal the border though? I don't know. You can climb over walls, you can break walls. I actually think the best solution is put the U.S. military on the border. A couple guys every quarter mile, half mile. But even then, what do you do when you got, let's say, a mother with 3 kids coming across and they insist, I'm crossing? Like, are you going to shoot them? That's a problem. You can't shoot them, right? So you just physically just get in their way and say, no, you're not crossing, not crossing, not crossing. If people want to come in and tell me what you think the solution to this crisis is, or even if you disagree it is a crisis, I'd be interested to hear. Like, this is not Europe. This is not where you have 2 or 3 countries right next to each other that are very similar. This is people coming from all over the world, wanting opportunity and a better life in the United States. You just can't let everybody in that wants in. You can't. Yeah, I think I would say the same thing for Canada. Yeah, this is a problem too. Flying in even on a visitation visa, vacation, and then not leaving. Anybody can call in for any reason. What the heck? Why not? We're just waiting for Jesus to come, right? Like, you could put an electric fence. Like, I was raised on a farm. Electric fences work. Electric fences stop bulls. You can have clear signs. You touch this electric fence, good chance you'll die. It's your choice. Can't put electric fence over waterways, though. Like I remember seeing, this is the difference between someone who leans left and someone who leans right. It's this whole idea of personal responsibility. I think it's the Rio Grande in Texas. They put these big orange balls in the middle of the river. And so if you start swimming and you hit this ball, you try to climb over it, it spins. So it's impossible to get over. And then it has weights on the bottom with chains. So I think you can't swim under either. And some people who lean left will see that how inhumane. This is terrible. But people on the right say, hey, you take responsibility for your own life. If you know you're not going to get through that, then don't even try. I think an electric fence would be cheaper than the big walls that Trump wanted to put up. Because all this is barbed wire and an electric current at one end. Yeah, this is a problem too. And in the videos we just saw, it's a very small percentage, but there's some bad actors. I think the US can sustain the entire world population. It's an experiment worth trying. That is one of the most ridiculous statements I've ever heard. Interesting. Pipeline Audio, you said someone was talking smack about me? The United States can barely sustain its own population. Well, there's good argument to be made about how much money has been poured into the Ukraine to defend its borders and how little in comparison has been put into protecting our borders. Doesn't matter. It all depends on behavior, not belief, for me. Agreed. Stephanie has them riled at Answers in Atheism, usually a rational channel. I don't remember who that is. Oh, yeah. Federally banned sanctuary cities. Yeah, that might help stop the incentive. I think that there should be a set number. Let me think about this. There should be a set number of pure asylum allowed in, asylum refugees allowed in. So you get that number, and people can debate what that number should be, how high or how low. And then the rest of the immigrants that come in should be based on merit or money. which is money is the same as, let's say, starting businesses, entrepreneurs. So basically, strong evidence that you're not going to be a financial burden to society. But then have a certain amount that you're saying, okay, these people, either asylum or refugee, we are going to support as a nation. If we're letting everyone in the world in the U.S., we might as well go back to imperialism and save the migrants the trip to live in the U.S. Yeah, good point, crossover maniac. If the attitude is United States needs to save everyone, you're basically implying the United States is better than almost everyone else. And so we might as well make colonies of the United States to use the franchise model. Here's our product. We know how to sell it. We know how to make it. Let us teach you how to do the same so you don't have to come to our restaurant. See, I don't understand thinking like this. Like, is this just a severe case of feel sorry forism? Merit-based immigration will eventually bankrupt the local population because of lack of young people. If you want to increase the value of human labor, have fewer humans. If you want wages to go up, have fewer humans. Simple law of supply and demand. So yeah, make the visa system more efficient, the work visa system more efficient. Only allow people in for jobs that are needed or have high skilled labor. Only allow people in who will contribute. There'll be a blessing to the financial situation in the United States, not a burden. And then allow a certain percentage of the US population, let's say 0.1%, whatever, what is that? 0.1%, 350,000 refugees in a year. And then they should also be sponsored by US citizens. So US citizens have to say, okay, I'll sponsor this family. Meaning they'll get federal assistance, but they're still responsible for helping this family assimilate into the culture. But yeah, the first step I think would be to get the US military on the southern border. Or the National Guard, or the reserves. And the billions you spend on housing and feeding and clothing immigrants, you can divert, once you got the borders sealed properly, you can spend on making the work visa system more efficient and faster. No, Stephanie, I disagree. I think it's more of a political issue. It's more of for feel sorry forism. That feels icky to do what I'm suggesting. Good point, Guzman. That I'm just saying though, if you want to inflate wages, that's how you do it. One way to do it. But yeah, you're going to cause inflation. No, I'm saying the money could come federally, like basically a gift from the United States to feel sorry for certain people in the world. We allow this number of people in because their countries suck. They're not as good as us in the United States. And then, but the sponsors would be basically responsible for assimilating them into the culture. How digital is the immigration process? It's fairly digital. I mean, it's quite digital. But when it comes to, you still got to do face-to-face interviews. Room's open if anybody has any disagreements. I'd love to hear pushback on me why putting the U.S. military or the National Guard on the Mexican border is a bad idea. Can anybody give me an argument why that's bad? Canada's a different situation. Like it's actually harder to get to Canada than the U.S. because the U.S. you can come through the south, through Mexico. You can't do that with Canada though. You'd have to go through Russia, Siberia, or a boat, or the United States. But if you're in the United States anyhow, you're not going to go to Canada. Who wants to live in Canada? We should only allow immigrants in to the United States who can account for the laws of logic. I wish Pine Point still existed. I would give you some. Nobody's interested in this, Elias. Only haters of the United States are interested in this. But as a hater of the United States, you know, you're welcome to be here and show off your hate. Okay, this is another silly question here. A secure border means drugs will be stopped? No, not 100%. Nothing's 100%, except for death and taxes. Okay, fair enough if you can't call in. Nobody knows the truth of the question. You can just make arguments either way. But here's my argument why, if all the illegal immigrants in the United States were gone, how it would be a net benefit to the United States. When you're an illegal immigrant, you've at least done background checks. If you're a legal immigrants go through background checks. The probability of you letting someone in who does serious violent crimes goes way down. You have a more confidence that the people you're letting in are law-abiding citizens. You can't say that about illegal aliens. You can't say that about illegal immigrants. So even if all else equal between legal and illegal, but with the illegal you have 0.1% violent criminals. And I Thanos them out, the illegal aliens. I've gotten rid of that 0.1% violent criminals. See if you can come back to that solid argument. Yeah, this is where the rubber hits the road, and this is why I think it's what some southern border governors have done is brilliant. They're basically saying, this is what we've had to deal with for decades. Now we're making it your problem. This is why I'm quite confident that this immigration issue, the problems with it, are more likely to be solved over the next decade, because Democrats will have to say, yeah, we agree with you, Republicans. Let's get the National Guard down there. Yeah, I doubt that data heavily. How can you even come up with a number if they're illegal immigrants and you don't know who they are? Like, I guess just based on the crimes you catch them for? Like, what percentage of people in jail in the United States are illegal immigrants? Like, granted, the denominator on illegal immigrants is going to be much smaller than the denominator of U.S. citizens, because there's, what, 350 million U.S. citizens? But the issue is, even if true, let's say the rate of incarceration for illegal immigrants is 1% and U.S. citizens is 2%, you could still get rid of the 1% if you have no illegal immigrants, right? Like, that's just science. Yeah, I highly doubt this as well. See, even the fact that you have to type in undocumented shows a bias, right? It's like you're scared to use the word illegal because it hurts people's feelings. Call it what it is. And this is so political that people just want to always, I don't know. Think about this smack dab. Think about, like we saw in the video, a mother coming across with 3 kids. You think that family unit's going to pay more in taxes than receive in benefits? No. If you think that, you're crazy in the head. At least for 2 decades, that's definitely not true. Those kids will need to be clothed, educated. If a mother without a father comes in, now even put a father into the mix. It costs 6, 7, 8, 9,000, depending what state you're in, per child to educate. And if the father is unskilled, makes 30, 40, even 50,000 a year. They're still taking more from society than they're putting back in, at least for 20 years. There is no question that when poor immigrants come into a country, they're more of a financial burden than a blessing, at least in the short term. The argument is that a generation after or two, then you get a payback on your investment. Explain to me, like I'm a 6-year-old, why are people moving to the U.S. from Mexico? What's wrong with their country? I think in a lot of cases, the Mexicans who are moving in because they already have family who are legal here, and they want to live with their families, and they do see more opportunity in the United States, higher wages, safer communities. Like there's a lot of cartel crap going on in Mexico, right? You want to raise a family in that type of scenario? Now there's cartels in the United States too, but they behave themselves a little bit better here because we have a better law and order. I've seen some of those studies, Smack Dab, that you're talking about. Which issue are you talking about here? Are you talking about the more? You said a couple things. Like if you have immigrants from certain countries where it's more likely to be wealthy, yeah, their odds are they're going to be more of a blessing than a burden financially. So you got to look at these studies and where the immigrants are coming from. And I'm not talking about just a gut feeling. I'm just saying, just use very simple math. Smack dab, just ask yourself that question, the mother with 3 kids, and then really just use simple math. You'll see for yourself that at least in that one case, it's not true that they'll pay more taxes than they will receive in benefits if they're using public education, if they're using any type of subsidized housing or healthcare. So you say. You don't know how to think, Smack Dab? Just use some common sense. Are you saying that the mother is going to... okay, you're saying, let me steel man you. You're saying the mother that comes across the Mexican border illegally is really a lawyer, will work for a Fortune 500 company and make $300,000 a year. Okay, in that situation, you're right. Look up the data. Be more specific. What data? Type it in there. Tell me exactly what you want me to look up. I do understand there are studies out there that will claim that the less crime thing you talked about, because I looked at some of those back 5 years ago. Do immigrants contribute more in taxes than they receive in benefits? Are you saying immigrants or illegal immigrants? I thought we were talking about illegal. Let's be specific, Bob. I'm talking illegal. Are you talking illegal? Yes. Okay, you are talking illegal. Okay. So the question is, do illegal immigrants, I can just copy and paste, right? Oh, Wikipedia. A lawyer. I'm looking for some real stats, not bias stuff. CNN, Columbus Dispatch. Here we go. National Immigration Forum. That should be unbiased. Oh, illegal immigrants definitely pay more in taxes than benefits. Yes, I see what you're saying now, because they're not eligible. Yeah. We talked about that in these videos. But what I'm saying is that they're not eligible for federal benefits. But what I'm saying is somebody's paying for them. So do you consider education as a federal benefit? No. Do you consider it's a state benefit, right? Yeah, so I agree with you. They will pay more in taxes than in federal benefits because they're not eligible for federal benefits. That's just science. But what I'm talking about is that sure, they might pay taxes like when they buy groceries, like sales tax, but the state is educating their kids. You understand? Thanks for the donation, Anthony. Yeah, I said that earlier. They're not eligible. Dude, just say you're a white racist. Own it. Well, according to critical race theory, all white people are racist, so it doesn't really make me special, does it, Dwayne? Sticks and stones. Granting legal status to all undocumented immigrants in the United States and allowing them to work legally would increase their state and local tax contribution by an estimated $2.18 billion a year. Okay, that could be true, but do you want to grant legal status to all undocumented immigrants? Most undocumented immigrants? Some? Like, I think even if you lean left, you're not going to say all. Like what if just one of them is a serial killer? We can make the exception for that one, right? The serial killer we don't want to give a U.S. citizenship for. Yeah. I'm a good racist. Once you get to know me, I'm really a treat. This is how you, I think, respond to people like this. Disagree with them and say, well, why is that so bad? Because you're killing people. Serial killers are people too. Yeah, well, I think people are getting smarter and realizing that that doesn't work anymore. It's the same with just saying, well, this is just Fox News rhetoric. Like that wins an argument. How much money goes to schooling per person? Google says it's 2 cents. What? Oh, per person. You mean not per student? Per student, I think it's like 7,000 or 8,000 a year. Yeah. When you dilute the word racist, I mean, if I'm a racist, then what about the person who actually does lynchings? Doug's a racist, and the guy who actually lynched a black person's also a racist. If you don't make any distinction, you've just totally made the word meaningless. Yeah, that's what I thought you meant. I think it's more than 2 cents, though. But if you're just talking federal dollars, remember, federal dollars is a very small percentage of the total funding for education. It's mostly property taxes on the state level. But federally, you could be right, 2 cents. Well, this is why I made that video, Joseph, of the definition of transphobe with Matt Walsh holding a picture of me. It's like, it's letting people know that you can't hurt me by just calling me names. You're not hurting anyone. You're just making yourself look foolish. You're just like that, literally like a kid in elementary school saying, sticking out your tongue and going, and going, nah. I mean, true. But, you know, the question is, let's say you had a choice of allowing, let's say the borders are completely closed, but now we're going to let 1 million people in. Do you want to let in 1 million people in who are very poor and very dependent, or 1 million people in who are financially independent? Like, let me start a poll on that. Okay, so vote. Very curious of your answers. You can only let in 1 million people into the United States, and the U.S. citizens get to choose. Do you want to let in 1 million very poor, financially dependent people, or financially independent people? What does financially independent mean? It just means that you don't need the government's help with eating, sleeping, clothing, education, or even healthcare. It's like you can afford your own insurance for healthcare. You can even afford your own kids to go to private school. or public school, it doesn't matter, but you pay enough in property taxes to pay for that too. Pay a boatload of taxes. Like, not talking about, I'll even say this for the people on the left, we're not talking about these billionaires who avoid paying taxes. I'm talking about upper middle class people, small business owners who pay the majority of taxes in this country. What I should have done, I should have duplicated this and had you declare if you lean right or left and then answer these questions. Because I almost guarantee you the people who say very poor financially dependent are left-wingers, and the people who say financially independent are right-wingers. Like, that's a pretty safe guess, right? Yes, this question is assuming that. Yeah, to me, this is a no-brainer. To me, it's like the only reason why you would vote for the top one is because I feel sorry for them, that there's something else, like I feel sorry for poor people, they're hurting, they need my help or whatever, and I want to help them. I think that's the only reason why one would vote the top one. I'm trying to think of an analogy. That would resonate. It's almost like asking, it's hard for the left to imagine to be a small business owner, but if you were a small business owner and you just had one job to do, to move a box from point A to point B 5 times a day, one person wants to charge you $100 an hour, the other person wants to charge you 10. Which one are you going to hire? You're going to hire the one who can do it for 10. Because they're taking less of your resources, right? A financially independent person is going to take less of the country's resources. In terms of federal spending, that's what I mean by resources. I'm not talking about like drilling oil or anything. Yeah, exactly, Bacon. It's basically what I'm asking is, would you rather lose money or not lose money? It's basically the same question. So 29% of you said poor, but I don't know if you're serious. But let's ask that. Would you be willing to take in immigrants from Honduras? Picking on Honduras. Immigrant, yeah, I'll just leave it like that. To your home. I forgot to put that. In your home. Would you be willing to take in immigrants from Honduras into your home? That's all you know. They're from Honduras. Remember, God's real, God's watching, and he'll punish if you lie. Wow, look at all the do-gooders. We're only at 17 votes. I'm saying no. I got a daughter in my home. Who knows? The Honduran could be a horny 22-year-old boy. No. No apologies. Don't even feel bad. Yeah, no. One of them, the immigrant from Honduras, could be, I don't know, some type of illness where I have to give them shots 3 times a day or something. I no. I don't want that responsibility. Aren't all 22-year-old boys horny? Well, yeah, I think so. But if the country as a whole nationally would answer this way, then we can solve the immigration problem. All immigrants that apply for amnesty and they're waiting for their court date, they can stay in the homes of these people here who answered yes. And even the people who decided not to go to the court hearing, they just want to kind of hide into society, go into society, because they don't think they would win their asylum case. We could give the addresses out. Hey, go to these homes here on each city. These people are willing to take you in. There you go. I think very quickly these yeses would shrivel up to no's. You said you'd be gone in a year. We're on year 5 now. Yeah, good point. You can say it, but would you actually do it? So probably a bad poll question. Mexico's the next China. I love Mexico. Like, it's a beautiful country. It's rich in resources. I like the Mexican culture. I live in southern Arizona. A lot of Mexican people here who are dual citizens. Have you traveled to a third world country? Yes, Mexico. Now, would this guy say this to me while supping, having dinner in my house? And expect to be served dessert? No. Should I make him moderator? Timeout or hide user? Let's just get rid of him. Dwayne, that stat thing, that was a bit of a misunderstanding because I'm thinking in terms of state funding through education. But yeah, if you're an illegal immigrant, you're not eligible for benefits. So if you pay any tax, you're paying more taxes than you're collecting federally in benefits. But in terms of state benefits or benefits from other people, private benefits, the point I'm making is that if you're a mother with 3 kids coming from Honduras, you're going to need help, and a lot of help, once you get in this country. Whereas if you are if your net worth is 50 million and you're coming from Singapore, you need little help. You just buy your condo in New York and your Tesla SUV, and I mean, you're good to go. Should we use the U.S. military to combat the cartels? I don't see why not. Oh, you mean in Mexico? Oh, that's a different question. If the Mexican government gives their blessing. Didn't we kind of already do that back in the 80s? Or was it 70s? But was through the Mexican government? Yeah, I could, but why not? But be careful. Like, only block them if you're very confident that I would do the same. With great power comes great responsibility. No, Tux, I'm thinking of yeah, I'm thinking Mexico. Was it the El Chapo's cartel? Remember, one of the cartels killed a was it a CIA agent or FBI agent? And that made the US government really upset. But they didn't like come in with the military, but they basically funded and had secret agents and helped Mexico out. And then they killed a lot of people on the US side. I will not let my right-wing religious bias corrupt my judgment. Well, there you go. In Russia, we solved our 90s organized crime problem by integrating them into government. Weird, yes, but violence stopped. It worked. That's so funny. The way you stop the cartel is you allow them into your federal government. Yeah, that explains Russia, all right. I think I'm the only atheist channel to now have a theist mod. Ooh. Maybe that's not true. Hey, Sean McDowell, if you're listening, make PineCreek a mod on your channel. Senator Corleone. Cordial curiosity, if you know who he is. He's coming to visit me tonight. Reed. I'm gonna take him to the Outback. You know who can beat them? You know who can beat Russia, Elias? The state of Arizona. One of the 50 states of the Union. Could beat Russia with one hand tied behind the back. Half their brains tied behind their back. Thanks for the donation, Crossover Maniac. If prohibition only benefited the mob, does it stand to reason that the war on drugs are only benefiting the cartels? Well, yeah, if you make drugs legal. Question is, do you really want to make fentanyl legal? Really? There has to be some line. Just left Phoenix? Reed, you're making great time. Hey Reed, when you get to the hotel, just relax a little bit, because my wife doesn't come home from work till like 3:30 or 4. take a little nap if you need to, and then I'll give you the address to my house, and then I'll text it to you, and then we'll go from there. You can read instructions over a live stream. He's probably sitting back like this right now in his Tesla. The Tesla's driving for him. Yeah, if you left Phoenix, Reed, you're 1 hour 40 minutes away from your hotel. It's confidential where Reed's staying tonight, because I know if I disclose Reed's hotel and where I'll be visiting him later, we'll probably have some cigars together. I just know that half of you will get on planes to fly to meet us both, and we don't want that. We don't want that. How can Arizona beat the Russian military? Well, because the Russian military is weak, and the Arizona Air Force is strong. Strong. Pulling into a supercharger. Oh yeah. That will take what? 45 minutes to charge? Gonna go for a full charge? You don't need a full charge, because once you get to the hotel, you can charge there, right? You doing any filming with Reed? I don't think so, no. We'll keep our private life private. Poof. Hey guys, thanks for hanging out. I know I put this on the wrong channel, but hey, who cares?